สวัสดีค่ะ
Good evening, I'm Thep Chai Yong with Thai PBS World.
Yes, I'm Natha Gomonwatin. Welcome to our program live on Facebook Thai PBS World.
So as our slogan goes, we bring you to the world. So every week on Thursday night at 6 p.m., we offer you insightful look into major events of the week.
Yes.
And of course, this week, we cannot escape the political situation that has been heating up over the past 1 week.
It seems the momentum is gaining, coming up, especially with the easing of restriction in terms of using social media.
Yes, Good Natha, just a few weeks ago, if you talk to many of the Thai politicians, you would have a feeling that they were not certain that the election would take place at all, as promised, because so many promises had been broken before. So they were taking the new promise by the Prime Minister with a grain of salt, not quite believing that this will actually happen.
But finally, it seemed turning point came up last week when they have the law promulgated for the next election.
So
but it's still speculation when the exact date for the election
That's another
will
big
happen.
question.
Yes.
But the mood seems to have changed over the past 1 week anyway, because there were positive signs that were taken as in strong indication that election early next year is more likely than ever.
And to be sure that we are talking about major development indicating the trend for the next election, let's take a look at the major development, especially in the past week.
So these are some of the developments that are being seen as the most positive sign pointing to election next year. Of course, the lifting of the political restrictions on activities by political parties is the most concrete sign that the junta is going to go ahead with the promise to hold election next year.
This is very crucial, and I'm sure every political parties are seeing what they are going or what they would like to do in the very near future.
But the issue is that even though most of the restrictions have been lifted, but they stop short of allowing a full-fledged election campaign. So that means that political parties still cannot go out and meet people to campaign. And they're not allowed even to do campaigning online. So, I mean, restrictions have been lifted, yes, but the politicians feel that they are still being restrained by the existing restriction on political campaigning.
Yes. But there are some promises by General Prayut Chan-o-cha. Let's take a look at the next indicator. The next development is General Prayut confirms full-fledged election campaigning to be permitted in mid-December, Kun Thep Chai.
The question is why mid-December? The answer is that because by mid-December, the newly promulgated law on MP election will take effect. So the junta believes that by that time, the country should be ready for political parties to go out, meet people, to make noises, to campaign for the election. So this is probably another strong signal that the election will take place.
So right now we can see the atmosphere of warming up to the mid-December. And then the next development is Election Commission to meet with political parties to discuss preparations for elections on September 28th. That would be a major milestone.
Yeah, definitely, because when the Election Commission meet with the political parties on September the 28th, a lot of more concrete moves will certainly be decided. And that will be another assurance that election is around the corner.
Yes, we still don't know what Election Commission will communicate on the day, but I'm sure all the political parties have to listen attentively. And the next major development is Election Commission has begun redrawing boundaries for election constituencies.
This is also very important because the next election will be held under different rules, regulations, and of course the boundaries of the constituency will be reshaped. So that's why the Election Commission needs to sit down and work out on this very important issue. Another strong signal that elections is on its way.
Yes, and it's likely that the number of constituency in the upcoming election will be fewer than before. From 375, probably it would be reduced to 350.
Yeah, certainly politicians will be waiting for that day when the redrawing of the boundaries of the constituency is completed, so they know exactly where they will go to campaign and to fill their candidates.
Yes, and the next major development this week is political parties plan to hold general assemblies to elect leaderships and prepare for elections.
Just imagine another month or weeks of hectic political activities waiting. Just a few weeks away.
Yes.
In fact, a number of parties have already scheduled their general assemblies, during which they will elect their new executive committees, and then will, of course, discuss how they will move from that point on.
Yes.
So, of course, this means a lot to these parties, that finally this is the crucial element of political activities will take place. Yeah.
Yes, and it will bring more excitement, more heated up atmosphere in the politics situation in Thailand. And as we told the audience that we asked the audience to vote for us, who would they favor as the next Prime Minister?
Yeah.
Let's take a look at our question and some of the outcome that we have got.
Even though the election is still months away, but I'm sure that a lot of people are asking themselves or among themselves, what choice do they have?
Yes.
The parties they will choose, and most importantly, who the next leader of the country should be or would be, or what their favorite choice would be. So today we list you a number of potential candidates for prime ministership. This is a straw poll. For our audience to take part in.
Yes, we have to emphasize that this is not formal poll at all, but straw poll that we just asked this question: who would you favor as the next prime minister? And the first promising figure, perhaps, that will participate in the election probably could
most
be
likely to be part of the choices.
Yes, it's General Prayut Chan-o-cha, the current prime minister. He is 64 years old right now, and currently he's also the leader of NCPO.
Yeah, but the question is whether he will enter the race or not. It seems that he's still undecided. When he was asked the question 2 days ago, he was quite evasive and even got moody because I think he felt bothered by the same old question. The question is whether or not you will enter the race to be the next prime minister. Now, if he decides so, that means that he will have to be listed in the list of one of the parties as the potential nominees for prime minister.
Yes, but he cannot avoid answering or being asked with this question, so he has to be prepared mentally.
Okay.
And the next one, probably the prominent figure is Kun Sudarat Geyurapan from Pheu Thai Party. She's 57 years old, former Minister of Agriculture and Cooperatives and former Minister of Public Health during Mr. Thaksin Shinawatra was the Prime Minister.
So the people we are listing for you today to vote on as part of this straw vote are people who, most of them have not yet made known the decision whether or not they will enter the race. But their names have been sort of propped up as potential candidate as the next Prime Minister. And of course, these people have been playing prominent role one way or another in Thai politics for a long, long time.
Yes, we just compiled the list that they probably are likely the candidates for the next Prime Minister. Kun Somchai Wongsuwat, the next one, 71 years old, and he was former Prime Minister, the 26th Prime Minister of Thailand.
And then you also have Police Lieutenant General Virot Pao In,
from the same party.
From the same party, who also stands out as a potential candidate as the next Prime Minister. Of course, Pheu Thai Party is in the midst of trying to get its house in order by electing a new leadership.
And we have to keep our eyes very closely on the development from Pheu Thai Party. And let's take a look at the next one. The next one, big party, Democrat Party คุณอภิสิทธิ์เวชชาชีวะ former Prime Minister 54 years old and he's 27th Prime Minister of Thailand and of course currently is the current leader of the Democrat Party
and he's most likely to be challenged for the leadership by คุณวรงค์เดชกิจวิกรม
yes
who made names who became household name when he led an investigation that exposed corruption in the rice pledging scheme of the Yingluck government. So also the Democrat Party is on its way to trying to get its own house in order with the General Assembly most likely next week to set new rules and regulations. That most likely to lead to a very unprecedented practice that is the primary election of party leader. That is something unprecedented.
Yes.
I will talk to Kun Abhisit later on in this program.
Just right after this. Let's take a look at another one of perhaps likely candidate from the Democrat Party as well. คุณอลงกรณ์พลบุตร and คุณจุรินทร์ลักษณะวิสิทธิ์
So Kun Alongkorn left the party in 2014 to join a national reform committee set up by the military junta, and Kun Jurin is now a key figure of the Democrat Party. So both of them are seen as potential, leading candidates of the party to vie for the premiership.
Okay, next one, please. Next one, also from Democrat Party, คุณกรณ์ จติกาวนิช and คุณชวนหลีกภัย คุณกรณ์ was former finance minister of Thailand and คุณชวนหลีกภัย was former prime minister.
As we mentioned before, that these people have not announced their candidacy or put themselves up in any way, but these are names that have been most frequently mentioned as possible choices for the next the lead the next government.
Yes, just for our straw poll. For you to make a decision. Next one is acting coalition for Thailand party.
It's a newly set up party that is strongly aligned with the junta. And it's, the de facto leader is Kun Suthep Theaksuban, but the nominal leader is Mom Ratchawong Chatumongkol Sonakul, former governor of the Bank of Thailand. And this party has made known its support for General Prayut to return as Prime Minister.
So we have to keep close watch for this party. And the next one is คุณไพบูลย์ นิติตะวัน This might be probably familiar place nowadays with คุณธนาธร จึงรุ่งเรืองกิจ from Future Forward Party. Newly announced businessman who turned politician.
Yeah, he's probably one of the youngest party leader around in this election, and of course the other one must look familiar to all of us now. Kun Wan Muhammad Normatha, leader of the newly formed Pracha Chat Party, which hopes to make significant gain in the deep south in the election.
Okay.
So once again, we want to emphasize that these are just for, I would say, maybe just for fun. Huh?
Yes, yes. The last two people, คุณอนุทิน ชาญวีรกิจ from ภูมิใจไทย Party and คุณวรวุฒิศิลปะอาชา from ชาติไทยพัฒนา Party.
Okay, these are all familiar faces also. So as once again, we want to emphasize that this is part of a fun game. For our audiences to sort of get to be more interested in the election, which is still months away. But we also want to show that, in fact, we do have a lot of choices ahead of us. But it depends on the result of the election, how it would turn out.
Yes, no formality yet. It's straw poll because we would like to hear your comments. Who would you favor as the next Prime Minister? And we will tell you the result toward the end of the program. And as we told the audience that we arranged...
I think we have the initial result of the polling, the straw polling, right?
Okay, let's take a look at the initial result of the polling after we ask our audience, our followers, on the Facebook page of the Thai PBS World.
Now we posted this straw poll online a few hours ago.
Yes.
And we have received quite a very, very good feedback.
Yeah. From the 6 potential perhaps
just
likely
for
candidates.
just a quick look. We come back again to go into detail as to what kind of reaction we got from our audiences. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll see into more details later.
So these are some of the comments that we received in response to the straw poll.
Yes.
Of course, they have different views, different choices, but there are some who said they don't like any of these people, and they're not going to vote for any one of these people.
They just ask for different choice, whether they can have different choices. That some comment from some audience. That is also another comment, another feedback that we compile from the list of the people who respond to our questions.
You know, as the election draws near, we will come back to you with this kind of exercises. I would call it political exercises for the people.
Yeah.
I mean, so that you can express your views on what you think of the developments.
Yes.
So these are more comments on our Twitter.
Okay, 33% goes to General Prayut Chan-o-cha. That's the initial result from the Twitter. 52% like to vote for คุณธนาธร จึงรุ่งเรืองกิจ 2% like to vote for คุณวราวุธ ศิลปะอาชา and 13% for คุณ Abhisit เวชชาชีวะ.
Okay, so this is the initial result of the straw poll that we conducted online. Okay, we will come back with this kind of exercises. I mean, more of them will follow afterward.
Okay, and after hearing the result, right now we are having Kun Abhisit on FaceTime with us. If the studio is ready, please bring him on the screen. Kun Abhisit, can you hear us closely or clearly?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Kun Abhisit, thank you for joining us. Now that some of the political restrictions have been eased, as a politician, you think you have more breathing space now?
Well, the relaxation of the constraints are really more about administrative things. So they are really allowing us to try to comply with the new political parties law, but not much more. So this is something, but we feel that political engagement with people is much more important for free and fair elections that should be coming up. Because we feel that for Thailand to move ahead, we need free and fair elections. And the more we can engage people, the better. But it seems that the NCPO feels that they're not prepared to do that until after December.
Now, I understand you have tried to ask the NCPO to lift the ban on the engagement with your constituents. So what has been their response?
Well, they appear to think that everything can wait until the election law becomes effective in December. My difference with them is that I keep pointing out that if we want to reform politics and if we want a healthy democracy, we should move away from the concept that political parties exist only to compete for power during elections. I think political parties should be working with the people all the time. We engage them about their problems. We engage them about the potential of party policies to fix those problems. And that's not something you should only do during election time.
Do you think they get a message?
Well, they're not responding, but I'm sure they hear me, but they may feel that they want to stick to their old plan, which is really when we shouldn't be allowed to do any kind of campaigning until December.
Kun Abhisit, and what's your plan in terms of contesting for leadership of the Democrat Party? Do you expect that the contesting will be very intense?
Well, my job at the moment is to set this system up so that we can really set an example for political parties in Thailand. There are still details to be worked out about how this system is going to work. And we've got some limitations as well. We hope that the application on mobile phones will be able to engage a lot of people, but we also have to make room for people who want to vote in the old way. But that's not so easy because obviously we have limited resources to run those kinds of voting. We are looking at all the options. So that's my job at the moment. Once all this is set up and we're into contest mode, then I will become a candidate. I expect competition, and I hope the competition will be constructive.
Good, Abhisit, this is something new, unprecedented. So what is the process going to be like?
Well, we hope that after the party assembly next week, where the new regulations are in place, we will have a period where there will be more people allowed to become members or to register for voting. That's something, some of the details we will work out. And then we will have a period where voting can actually take place, both online and offline. That's our plan at the moment. At the moment, I think Kun Warong has expressed an interest in contesting. I know of no other candidates at the moment, but we will obviously allow some time for nominations and applications.
I see.
Kun Abhisit, it's been raised that to have primary vote to select leadership of the Democrat Party, perhaps it will create more division, the atmosphere of divisive inside the party. What's your take?
One of the motivations that I'm trying to do this is I hope that we can get over this idea that competition is always divisive. I think if we believe competition is divisive, we're not really having much faith in the democratic process, because democracy is about choice, democracy is about election and competition, and democracy should begin within parties as well. If we always interpret competition as divisions, then we're just getting back to the old ways where parties do not really open up. Parties belong to certain owners. And I think that's not a very good foundation for a healthy democracy for Thailand.
I see. Your colleague Kun Juti Krairek described the leadership contest as a race between brothers. Is that going to be like something
like that? That's what we hope.
Huh?
That's what we hope. I know that, you know, in all competitions, I mean, there's bound to be some tensions or differences that could be exaggerated. But I think it's up to us, Democrat Party voters, to demonstrate that we are mature enough to make this a constructive contest.
I see. Good, Abhisit, you have been party leader for almost 13 years, and you, of course, you will run in the race. And if you get re-elected, so what kind of changes do you expect to bring to the party?
Well,
how different the Democrat Party will be under your new leadership?
Well, actually having this contest is quite a big change already. And I've already mentioned that the party has to be reformed in order to be able to serve people better. I'm excited about the new ideas that we have in terms of policy. I think we are the first to now say that running the economy shouldn't be about focusing on the GDP number when there is so much inequality. And there are also other, I think, quite dramatic changes that we would like to implement for the country as well, like decentralization, election of provincial governors. I mean, that's the simplest way of putting it. And also other policies of that will reform and transform the country. We also think that we offer the best alternative for Thailand to move ahead away from the traps that we've been in, both politically and economically. So I'm excited about all the new ideas. We're also going to try to engage the younger generations as much as possible. That's another change we are making also to party regulations.
Kun Abhisit, before we have begun the live program today, we asked comments from the audience to vote who would they favor as the next Prime Minister. About 400 participate in our straw poll, and about 13% they said they would like to select you, vote for you, but the majority goes to Kun Thanathorn. How do you see the result, this initial result?
Well, as you know, these are not scientific polls. I think that needs to be pointed out. But yes, we listen to all attempts to hear from people. I think Kun Thanathorn has been quite successful in the past few months in sending his message across. And obviously being a fresh face, there is that value of being new. But I think as campaign comes, we will demonstrate why the Democrat Party is actually no less, I dare say, more progressive on some of the issues. I think, for instance, when I talk about leadership contests within the party, when I talk about election of governors in terms of decentralization, I've been on the same stage as Kun Thanathorn. He's not yet willing to make these kinds of commitments.
Good visit. If you get re-elected, so your name will be in the list as the potential nominees for Prime Minister. That's for sure, right?
Well, for the Democrat Party, we should put the Democrat Party leader on the list of people nominated for Prime Minister. That's simple as that. I think we believe that parties are here to represent people and ideas, and the party leader is best to implement those ideas that we are campaigning on and telling people what we would like to do. So it's by simple logic, it's what political parties do all over the world.
But do you foresee the scenario in which the members of the parliament cannot decide on the nomination of Prime Minister? This may be premature, but of course, a lot of people...
It certainly is, but all I will say is this. As far as the House of Representatives or the elected lower house is concerned, I don't believe it would be difficult for somebody to put together a majority. We've always done that without difficulties. The problem with the Constitution, of course, is that you have the 250 senators.
Yeah.
And it depends on how they will exercise their right to urge them to respect the wishes of the people as expressed through the ballot box. And the best way of doing that is to respect the decision of the lower house. If somebody can put together a majority, surely he or she should be allowed to govern the country. You know, for a democracy, elections should be free, fair, and meaningful. What is the use of having elections if you're not really going to respect the wishes of the people?
Yeah, you're right.
The atmosphere in the social media perhaps is heating up after NCPO. They said there is some restriction on the use of the social media. How do you see the atmosphere of the debate of the voters to voice their concern in the social media right now? Is it your concern as well that it may be provoking hate speech or more division in the upcoming to the election?
Social media has now become maybe the main source of information for people. And to deny the use of that for campaigning and exchanging of ideas in the political realm, for me, is unrealistic, unnatural even. So, I'm puzzled by the NCPO order that says you use social media to communicate with your members but not to campaign. And that will also bring a lot of trouble in terms of interpretation and possible allegations, accusations, and legal problems. We would like even clarification, I think, just to recognize that it's only natural now for people to communicate politically, which for the most part would be campaigning, to be allowed on social media. Now, having said that, it's clear that social media carries some risks. You talk about hate speech, you talk about incitement that could lead to violence. The whole world is concerned about fake news. But the fact of the matter is we have laws to deal with those cases anyway. You know, if you are inciting people to violence, you're clearly violating the criminal law, the criminal code. If you are using fake news in a way that damages other people, then you could be taken to court. So let's not try to put too much restrictions on the use of social media. Rather, what I would like the Election Commission to do in particular is to provide a platform where political parties and politicians can use to dispel fake news. So, for instance, if somebody, posts fake news against me, couldn't the EC provide a platform where I could then spill out the facts and people can see and judge for themselves? Surely that's the best way of dealing with the problem. You will never be able to catch everybody. You'll never be able to define and who's going to decide what's fake and what's not fake in a number of cases. So for me, it's the job of the EC, the job of the state, if you like, is to provide some kind of platform where everybody can check the facts.
Good visit. The past few months have seen some political parties going around trying to poach ex-MPs from some parties. How much is the Democrat Party being affected by this?
Well, to a certain extent, but we've gone through this almost at every election cycle.
Big damage?
I wouldn't say big damage. There have been some defections, if you like, or people resigning from the party to join other parties. But we've always had that. What's more important, I think, is whether our supporters are with us.
Okay.
And we're confident that we have the message, we have the policies that will be able to keep our supporters.
Okay. So as veteran politicians, can you imagine the scenario after the election? What do you think it would be like from this point?
I don't think anybody should be brave enough to make predictions these days. You've seen opinion polls in developed countries taken a few days before elections, getting things wrong. We live in a different environment. But the likelihood is there will have to be negotiations after the elections, because it's not likely, though not impossible, for somebody to get an outright majority.
That's it. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you very much for the visit, and wish you all the best.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay. That wasคุณAbhisit เวชชาชีวะ and he has made it very clear that he still sticks by his stand that the parties that win the majority in election should have the right, to form the next government.
Yes.
And the party leader should be entitled to be the next prime minister.
Yes, and this time he emphasized the primary vote to elect new leader for the Democrat Party, which would be the first time ever for the party as well. And that he considered quite crucial to promote democracy inside the party.
Okay. All right. Talking about politics, there is one particular person who is not in Thailand. In fact, he has been away the past many years. But he still continues to make political waves in the country.
Yeah. It seemed like special occasion or anniversary. Every year on the 19th of September, he would come out to communicate by Twitter or on Facebook. And this year, he didn't miss this opportunity either.
The anniversary of the coup that toppled him.
Yeah.
12 years back.
2006. Yes, and this year it became hashtag, the most trending hashtag, especially today. So let's take a look at his Twitter from former Prime Minister Kun Thaksin Shinawat. He just said that...
This is what his tweet a few days ago.
Yes, he tweeted this on the 19th, on yesterday.
So in fact, this tweet was preceded by another one, in which he said he urged all concerned men to get together to reconcile. And then he said he forgive everybody who has made his life so miserable for the past many years.
Yes, but with Twitter in particular, he just said, oh, your voice is so determined. It's not as soft as the day you begging at the table to try to be military chief.
This tweet was in response to an earlier comments from General Pravitt Wongsuwan, the Deputy Prime Minister, who responded to Thaksin's first tweet. And because Kun Pravitt was quite irked by what Kun Thaksin tweeted. So the Deputy Prime Minister said that, in fact, the problems facing the country the past 12 years, he suggested that was the work of Kun Thaksin. He didn't mention name, but of course, it's understood that he was referring to the former Prime Minister.
Yes, but the point is that this Twitter has become hashtag because of the nickname of General Pravitt Wongsuwan. His nickname is Pom. And you can see Twitter trend for today. Yesterday was Got To or begging at the table. And Kun Thaksin was the second, and then election. So it's the hashtag that come to the top with Got To. Let's see what does it mean.
Okay, we have to go back to history. There was the period where the two got together very well. And then there was a period of a bad blood between them. On the left, of course, he looks different now. It's General Pravitt.
Many years ago.
And Kun Thaksin when he was Prime Minister. We go back to the previous picture that we first. Okay, the two were, of course, at a reception by the army.
The photo of Kun Thaksin and
Kun
General Pravitt.
Thaksin was Prime Minister when he appointed General Pravitt as the army chief, right, in 2004. And Kun Thaksin used the phrase begging at the table to describe the day that he claimed that General Pravitt came to him to ask for the position of the army chief. Like he was clinging to the table and please give me that position.
But right after the tweet by Kun Thaksin Shinawat, and then there was another response by a page which mentioned that, don't you really remember the day that you would like to get concession for the telecommunication project? That's another attack back to Kun Thaksin.
Another one begging at the table.
Yes. But this is the point of Got To or begging at the table. This is the famous duo singers, the brothers, Asani and Wasan. Kun Asani, his nickname is Pom. Exactly the same nickname with Big Pom or General Pravitt. And in this position, he just like leaning at his brother. His nickname is To, so it's just the photo, the image that people spread around in the social media at the moment is the meaning of Pom Got To.
In fact, what Kun Thaksin was trying to imply in his tweet was that General Pravitt was indebted to him for having been appointed the army chief. So without Thaksin, Pravitt would not have made it to this day like this.
So it's like, so suddenly the heated debate coming around in the social media world.
Yes, it's interesting that Kun Thaksin, all of a sudden make his presence felt at this point. Of course, there have been a lot of theories as to why he comes out, at this time to confront the military. Of course, people link this to the upcoming election, and of course linked to the problems of leadership within the Pheu Thai party. So basically, according to analysts, Kun Thaksin is using his tweets to rally his supporters to prepare for the election.
Obviously, and perhaps you will see more this kind of communication, this kind of activities in the social media would be coming up even more to the running to the election. And that's the concern of many media members in many countries regarding fake news.
Kun Abhisit just mentioned about fake news in his reply to your question about the news and disinformation on the internet. Right?
And all the media members in many countries are very much aware of this situation of fake news. Kun Supaporn Eldet just participating in the media discussion program in Cambodia, which raised the concern on fake news in Cambodia. Let's take a look at her report.
Prime Minister Hun Sen's Facebook page appeared unusual with a post showing that CPP party would cede 4 parliament seats to other parties. This seemed improbable because the CPP party just won with landslide victory. Within an hour or so, the post got about 3,300 likes before it was deleted. Cambodian officers said it was false information and the page might be hacked by opposite party or rebels. In Cambodia, there are 5,050,000 social media users, or 31% of their population, 16,288,000 people. So the problem here is no different from the other country that they have found. They have to facing fake news, rumors, and also hate speech. Mekong Dialogue Institute hosted a regional media conference. Topic: ASEAN toward regional stability through social media. Attended by journalists and social media users, along with new generation in Cambodia, sharing some opinions in using social media with responsibilities and dealing with hate speech.
I believe that being responsible for what you post online, for what you say online is very important. So be ethical, be responsible, and make sure that you at least have empathy and compassion for the person that you're talking to, for the stuff that you're posting, for the group that you're targeting. Because if you don't want something to be said to you that way, then you shouldn't say it to other people. At least that's empathy. At least understand that there are people outside, people on the other end of the spectrum that are receiving your messages. So yeah, I believe that we should just be more ethical, be more responsible about everything.
Yeah, the challenging is that nowadays there's so many news and stories that happen on social media. So we as a professional media, we have to check balance and try to use our utmost skills as a professional journalist to check the fact, use technologies, and use all our skills in interviewing the source and check 360 ways to trying to make everything is straight and correctly.
Cambodians and journalists who shared their views with me agree that social media users should verify information before sharing their posts. The measures are important to prevent the public from misinformation, which may finally result in damaging international and regional relations. Supaporn Eldredge, reporting from Phnom Penh, Cambodia.
So that was in Cambodia, right, where
Yes.
fake news was quite widespread during the recent elections.
Yes, and it's very influential in the past election in July,
Yeah.
and it proves that politicians who have strong power in the social media will dominate the view of the country.
That's right. The problem is that Thailand will be facing the same challenge when the next election comes around early next year. There are fears that there will be bigger, more proliferation of fake news, disinformation. Of course, I mean, in every election in the world, I mean, fake news, disinformation is become a normal thing.
Yes.
Like in the U.S., the election of Donald Trump, I mean, was fraught with all these allegations of the fake news, disinformation as well. Yeah.
And I think from that election, the word fake news has become spreading around the whole world, that the phenomenon, the situation is becoming more intense. So Thailand has to be very much aware of it.
Okay.
But the social media also have very positive side as well, because it's bring the world together.
Definitely, yeah.
Because we are also using social media to broadcast our program. But it can connect people and hear the view about any topic. And Thailand is also in the list of the tourism industry, and the uplifting news is Thailand is voted as the 17th popular destination in the world, especially for the place of Wat Po or Wat Chetupon Vimon Mangkalaram. For many Thai people, perhaps you would never visited this temple before, but for many foreign tourists, they really enjoy going and having massage at Wat Po. Let's take a look from Kun Nantini Lai La'iat report why Wat Po is really popular.
Thailand's Wat Po ranked number 17th of the world's most popular tourist attraction, voted by global tourists on the American website TripAdvisor, up from 24th last year. In Asia region, Wat Po leapfrogged the Great Wall of China to become the third most popular tourist attraction. It only ranked after the Angkor Wat of Cambodia and the Taj Mahal of India.
Wat Prachetupon Vimon Mangkalaram or Wat Po is one of the most famous tourist attractions in Thailand. Around 10,000 tourists visited Wat Po daily. During the high season, from October to January, the number of tourists reached 15,000 per day. Most are Chinese, South Korea, Japanese, and French.
I think it's the fifth time I'm coming to Wat Po, and I love this place.
Why?
Because it's very resting, and I love all statues and all temples, and I have visited most of the temples here in Thailand.
We heard a lot of good things about this temple, and this is really amazing. Yeah, like I'll definitely recommend to all my friends if they come visit Thailand.
So how about you? Why you come here?
Yeah, so because I heard the reclining Buddha is like magnificent, and it is. So yeah, so it is like a must visit.
The assistant abbot of Wat Po said that tourists are most interested in the reclining Buddha, which represents the historical Buddha during his last illness, about to enter the parinirvana. This is considered as the one of the most beautiful Buddha statues in the world. The second stop is Wat Po Thai Traditional Massage School. Many global leaders, including Barack Obama, former U.S. President, also set Wat Po as one of their first stops.
Later on, later year, many the famous leaders, President, Prime Minister, Vice President, and Prince and Princess, they visited our temple. So I asked them, why you came here? So they told us that they follow footsteps of Barack Obama.
The top 5 landmarks ranked by TripAdvisor in 2018 are Angkor Wat, Cambodia, Plaza de España, Spain, Sheikh Zayed Mosque, Abu Dhabi, St. Peter's Basilica, Vatican City, and Mezquita Cathedral de Cordoba, Spain. Wat Po is ranked 17th, surpassed the Great Wall of China.
So that's it for Thai PBS World tonight. Come back and see us again next Thursday at 6 p.m. And tonight we will leave you with a special treat.
Yes, the beauty of coral and shark whale in island of chicken and duck. Do you believe that there is this name in Chumphon province? Let's take a look at their beauty. And that's the end of Thai PBS World today. We are seeing you again next Thursday. สวัสดีค่ะ